What Tony and I would like to show you now is some of the different holds that we can use to connect with each other as we're dancing around the floor in the American Smooth style.
So what's fun about Smooth is that you can break apart and experiment a little bit with the holds because we don't have to stay in close contact the whole time.
So it's a bit like Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers type stuff.
Absolutely. But we want to make sure that we still keep our good posture and good technique as we do this, and a nice frame as well. So let's go over some of the holds that are used in American style, starting with closed. That's our home base. So if we start here in closed position. We can also do shapes with this closed position as we talked about just previously with our positive side. So we can have a positive right side and Michael can shape over me. We can have back to neutral and a positive left side where he shapes over me, and I can even turn my head to promenade even though my feet stay closed right here. So that's our closed position. We can also do outside partner on the right side. So we can step outside. We can come back and we can do outside partner on the left side and go outside. Then we can come back and we can do promenade position. So we can turn to promenade and counter promenade. Not that we would do this very often in closed hold like this, if at all, but it will come up when we break open. Now from here, back to closed position again, and we have different holds that we can use. So if we have closed position with body contact, we can be in closed position but be a little bit more apart to the point where we drop down to the elbow. We can also do that for promenade and counter promenade, also for outside partner. So we can use these different holds. Now from here we can go to double hand hold. Again for all of the different positions, promenade, counter promenade, outside on the right, outside on the left. And we can do that with single hand hold. So promenade, counter promenade, outside partner on the right, outside partner on the left. Also apart, so we can do that with our promenade, counter promenade, outside partner on the right, outside partner on the left. But you can still get a sense that we would be lined up with each other as we do this.
So we still have the frame going.
Right, so we can come back into closed hold and we can do alternate holds while we're here. So first alternate hold we can do where the man releases hold with the left hand and we extend out. So we're still in frame, we've just changed the hold. Different holds that we can do, the lady can take a right hand around the man's chest to his back. Other holds is he could take my neck. From here I can even extend out. So we still look like we're in a frame with each other, so we would just have to fold back in to frame to look like we're in closed position again.
So you still have good communication going because there's that frame connecting it.
So where it starts getting a little bit trickier is when we open up even more than this. So if we start in our promenade position and go to flip-flop, so if we turn to promenade traditionally and open this hold and work away from each other, we're still in a position that if we folded back together we look like we're in good promenade. So we don't just open up and break and put our arms to the side and lose our posture and our frame.
So maintaining your tone through your frame is not dependent on actually being connected in closed position with your partner. You have to maintain it as an individual when you're separated from your partner too.
Okay, so we've done that with promenade, traditional promenade. Now we can shake back over to the right, how we did that and closed earlier, and open up as well. So we have these two different ways of getting to flip-flop position. We can also do that with our counter promenade. So if we turn to counter promenade, he puts his arm around my back, and then we open up this frame. So you can see we still have a frame and we're in flip-flop. We can do that also, shaping back to each other. From here, if we come back to closed position again, turn to promenade. Now if we open up with our frame, and if I actually shift away from him, we can be in side-by-side position. We can also do that when we shape back to each other, and I open up away from him. So now we're in side-by-side position. Everything still should resemble something. Our spines should match, the line of our heads, our arm lines should match, so you don't want to look like you're broken here. That would also happen in our counter promenade position. So from here, and with the other shape, if we went this way, I would fold back in and we'd look like we're in counter promenade.
So that ties in with something that we said earlier, and that was that when you're coming into position with each other, you want to connect with each other because of what you're doing individually to your own body, as opposed to trying to find the other person's body. If you go with that kind of idea, then even when you separate away from each other, then you won't be so concerned about what kind of position you should be in.
Right. So now we've covered all these flip-flop positions where we're opening up a little bit more. A position that we do all the time in American Smooth is shadow. So we'll start in closed position. And we have different ways of turning into shadow. So Michael can stay with his head to the left, and then if you can explain the lead.
Okay, I'm going to take my hand in between myself and Tony's heads and turn her to the left, and that'll roll her into my right hand. I slip my hand from her shoulder blade down to her waist.
It's a good thing he does that.
Yeah, really.
Now from here I'll just come back. You can see if I just hold that position and roll back, we're still in good closed position. Now he can shape over me to the right, how we talked about earlier. And if I turn my head halfway through, I can roll into shadow position and match again the spines. And then last one, if he goes back to traditional closed hold and then shapes to the right again, sorry, beg your pardon, and then from here if I stay with my head in normal closed position, we now can be seeing each other in shadow. All of these versions are correct as long as I'm not doing, if I went to shadow and he was here and I just broke my frame and broke my posture, I'm now not matching him. Now you can see that a line of our heads match, whether it's this way, you can see that there's a sense that we match. Whereas if I was just here and turned back into hold, you can see I wouldn't match in his frame.
The other benefit of maintaining your good frame and good posture is that when Tony turns into shadow position, if I keep my arm, even though I dropped it from her shoulder blade down to her waist, I'm still keeping good tone in my arm. And because she's keeping a good frame and good posture, it fits her nicely into my right arm. So we have a very secure connection here. When it comes to when we start moving, she'll be able to feel exactly what I'm trying to do.
So what we're trying to say is if you keep the frame and the tone through your body, your centers and your headline correct, you can experiment and do endless number of holds. So you could do things like cuddles, you can do hammer lock where the man turns back and like puts his hand behind his body. So there's all these different things, but there should still be a sense that at the line of the spines match. We have handshake right here. You can experiment as much as you like, as long as you keep within the rules of like making sure that it looks like we're matching with our frame.
Good frame and good posture, so that's what's important.
The hard part though is keeping this through movement, and that's what we're going to address next.